The Sheldon Museum in Middlebury presents Warren Kimble All-American Artist, an eclectic retrospective. The exhibit highlights the career of internationally known Brandon, Vermont artist Warren Kimble, who celebrated his 80th birthday this year. Mr. Kimble came to prominence for his folk art, which is prominently on display along with works from other important periods of his career. Mr. Kimble took the Vermont PBS Connect crew on an exclusive tour of the exhibit, which runs through October 18th.
I'm Warren Kimble, and I'm here to show you around of 101 pieces of artwork. Showing my work in Vermont is very special because I think my art talks about Vermont. And it's why we live here, why we do business here, and why we function here. What works for us here in this state. In 1990, Wild Apple Graphics in Woodstock, Vermont, John and Laurie Chester took these 6 small prints. They had made prints of these paintings. There are 3 over here and 3 over here, and the cow with the state of Vermont on. And there were 2 kissing cows. I did not name them that, but that's what they're doing. And on their rumps is the state of Vermont. And it went crazy. And so that's what started all of this in the state and all over the world. These prints are all over the world, and I think there are 6 or 7 million prints alone that have been sold around the world. Animals are fun because they're all around us. We have chickens and cows and all kinds of other animals in the state, and as we ride down the road, we see them. My cows are a little strange because they have little legs and little heads, and that's because in the 1840s in England, people would raise cattle for as much meat they could get on them. And of course, they got really strange looking because they came fat in the middle and skinny legs. I sort of exaggerate a little bit more than they did. So they would have paintings done of their prized cattle. And you can look them up in history books and so forth and see those paintings. Mine, as I said, got a little more exaggerated, but that's the fun of it. And I think that's the whimsy that people see in it. I do a lot of houses. The houses primarily do not have doors on them. And that's because I like to make the mystery of it. And the people are inside, so I don't need to show them outside. You can see what they're doing outside by the trees, and the fences, and also there's a painting over here of a quilt on a porch. Well, you figure, what's going on in that? Did the woman make the quilt? Did she just wash it? Is it out drying? Who did it? This is an old signboard that probably had a sign for an inn or something on it, and it had deteriorated, so I take it off and I clean the board. But the board has all the imperfections that I don't have to do. I don't use chains or anything. It's already there. It's been used. It's been weathered. And the tabletops are the same because people have cut on them and eaten on the tops of the table and banged on them and put initials in them and done all kinds of wonderful stuff that enhances what I do on the top. So this one is a prime example of that. You can see the imperfections in here that just say age, but it doesn't necessarily have to be a depiction of something old. It doesn't have any costume in it, old costume. It doesn't have any old vehicles in it. It doesn't have old sleds in it or any of that, but it still says age to it. I call this summer barn. I do a lot of barns. We're losing our barns in Vermont. And so one way to save them is do paintings of them, and many artists are doing that. Also, I did a painting of the Shelburne Farms barn, the coach barn, which you'll see downstairs too, which is very different. It's folk art, but it's not. I've actually painted it in different colors because it's a gorgeous barn. But the barns in Vermont, we're losing them and we need to save them. This is a painting I did at my aunt's farm because I didn't grow up on a farm, but I spent, once a month amongst the cows and the chickens and the little lake and so forth, and the hillside, which I loved to climb as a kid. And one rainy day, one rainy weekend, I did this painting in my answer. It's the only oil painting I've ever done because all of my work is acrylic paint. And I did this as a copy of a postcard. It's probably not very good, but it was fun to do, and it's the only thing I have of my youth. Well, this is kind of the surprise room because this isn't what people expect to see of my work. But I like to try different things and change. Having been a teacher, I think you had to do something new every week. So you think of something on the way to work and do it. So over here we have some monoprints. And this is a process where you put paint down flat and put the paint on a board. And then you scribe through it in here with an implement of some kind, even a pencil or anything. And then you put a piece of paper on top of it and put it down on it and rub it. And it's a printing process. And it's a one-shot deal. So whatever happens, happens. And that's the surprise and a wonderful part about it. This is a series that I did in 1962, soon after college, a few years after college. And I kind of, somebody says, that's your Picasso period or something? I don't know. But anyway, I had fun doing this. And it's a linoleum block print. So you carve out the linoleum and then you print it. This is a series of work that I did, my reaction to the Iraq War. I was at the Vermont Studio Center again when the war first started. And after dinner one night, I went back to the studio. I had purchased this woman's dress form. And I was going to paint folk art on it. And then I heard on the radio the 2 Army people had been killed in Iraq. And I saw this standing in front of the window. And I thought, that's the woman being home and not knowing where she's going, whether she's outside the window or inside the window, or what her life is going to be. Where was she? I'd love to show it because it creates a lot of emotion with people, which was not my intention. The emotion was really coming from me, but the emotion that comes from people when they see this whole series is really amazing to me, and I really like that. The sun does such wonderful things for us. It makes us feel good. We wake up in the morning, as I said, and if the sun's out, we smile. It also makes things grow, makes the grass grow. It just does good stuff and energizes us. And so these are pieces I did depicting of the sun, and they're heavy gesso on board, and then I go through it and get all this wonderful, I think, wonderful texture. I live in Vermont. I see these depictions every day as I get on the road. They are us. They say us. They're simple. They could be today. The depictions in the paintings could say yesterday. They could say 1820, 1830. And we haven't changed a whole lot in some ways. That's why people love to be here, and that's why people come here.